we're going to go back to a couple of days ago, and every year the Canadian Hockey League gets involved with the Russians in an all-star series. They call it this year the Subway Super Challenge Series 2009, and Keith Dotson of our staff did a great job with the video. This is a team picture, probably just before the game, where you see all the OHL players. Of course, Tyler Seguin, Josh Britton, and Matt Hackett represented the Whalers in playing in that game. Here's a little bit of the Russian flavor in the game. And really, Sean, the Russians were outclassed, and that man there, Matt Hackett, played very well. Tyler Seguin on a line with John McFarland and Tyler Toffoli. What a nice line that was.
Oh, absolutely it was. I mean, the amount of talent on that OHL team was absurd. And, you know, as you mentioned, Pete, the Russian All-Stars, I use that term loosely. I thought there were a few good players, but I don't think it was a case where the Russians sent their best players, but ended up being a good game. And you saw some hitting in the game, to be sure, especially as the game progressed. And as you mentioned, what an absolute honor. And Matt Hackett, you brought this up during the first period broadcast. Let me tell you something, folks. The crowd over in Windsor really appreciated the goaltending that Matt Hackett was providing for the OHL All-Stars on Monday night.
And here's Seguin in a rush, and now Hackett, some more action for Hackett. He had a shutout going until late in the game, and the Russians scored a pair of them after the OHL made it 4-0. And there you see one of the goals for the Russians. And that's Josh Britton working behind the Russian goal. And really, and now here's Seguin out in front, maybe his best scoring opportunity. That just failed to click. But it was a fun line watching Seguin with McFarland and Toffoli, a line that lit up the Ivan Holinka tournament for Canada in August when they won the gold medal.
Well, and it was interesting, you know, you talk about Josh Britton, there he is using his size in front. He was just a size mismatch all game long for the Russians, and you could tell that they were starting to get frustrated down low as well. And Josh Britton, and you could tell with that goal there, a big part of that goal, using that big body to create some space down low. You take a look at Hackett, Pete, as you mentioned, not a lot of great scoring opportunities for the Russians, but Hackett with a couple of stops there, you can't blame him for that one, as he was laying flat on his back after making a nice stop initially. But Pete, again, you know, I think this was a situation where you like to see the Whalers go there and certainly acquit themselves well. And Tyler Seguin by no means looked out of place.
Well, Matt Hackett went all the way in goal, and you see his teammates congratulating him. Matt Hackett wants to make Team Canada for the World Junior Championships, as does Tyler Seguin. But the thing is, the World Junior Championships is basically a 19-year-old tournament. Seguin's only 17, so if he doesn't make it this year, he's definitely going to make it down the road, but he would love to make it. And you know, sometimes they take a couple of 17-year-olds.
Well, you take a look at some of the guys who have been turned down in the past as well, Pete. It's crazy. But knowing Tyler Seguin, I know he's going to do everything he can to make that squad.
So a fun night last on a couple of nights ago. We had a chance to broadcast it on the radio. Team OHL defeated Team Russia 5-2 in the Subway Super Challenge. The Quebec League swept the Russians. The OHL swept the Russians. And now the Western Hockey League will get a chance to try to do the same. I've seen enough Western Hockey League games to know, as gritty as the OHL team played, the Western Hockey League ramps it up even a little bit more.
Well, they grow them big out there. It must be something in the farmland, Krupper. And these kids come from the prairie, and they're just a couple inches taller and 10, 15, 70 pounds heavier, and I think they're really going to give the Russians some trouble.
It wasn't. It was a couple of years ago, actually. The Whalers played in the Memorial Cups against the Medicine Hat Tigers, and the Whalers faced a young man by the name of Darren Helm, who played for Medicine Hat. He wasn't even their best player, but it shows the kind of talent that the Canadian Hockey League has.
No doubt about it. And again, you know, we're not just saying this because, you know, we're involved with the Plymouth Whalers of the Ontario Hockey League, but facts are facts. This league is where the players are coming from. This is the best hockey you're going to find.
So, an interesting night a couple of nights ago in Windsor with the Super Series. An interesting night going on tonight. Windsor leading 2-1. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the second period of play for you.